Okay, now we're going to be doing some rounding. So the two specific rounding that we want to focus on is, first of all, how to round to the nearest 10. So rounding off to the nearest 10 is, say, if you want to do to, like, say, for example, if it's between 50 and 60, if the number is between 50 and 60, I want to know if it's closer to 60 or 50. Okay, so that's what you're going to determine here. So I'll give you an example. Let's look at the number 18. Let's round 18 to the nearest 10. So I've actually drawn in a little number line. A number line will always help for this question. So if you're a bit confused, try to build up a number line and trying to estimate trying to like pick up where it's closer to. So see 18? If I put it on the number line between 10 and 20, it's more closer to 20, isn't it? It's right there. So I can say to the nearest 10, 18 is equivalent to 20, okay? Now the next one that I wanted to show you is how to round off to the nearest 100. So again, I'm going to round off 18 again, the same number, but this time to the nearest 100. So again, on my little number line with hundreds, going up by hundreds. And I know that 18 is between 0 and 100, and on the number line you can see that 18 is much closer to 0 than 100. So to the nearest 100, 18 would be equivalent to 0. Okay, that's the kind of thing you do. So we're trying to utilize our number lines so it's easier for you to see where it's closer to. And I also want you to utilize that in your exams because sometimes they do get a bit confusing. So question 1A, round off 54 to the nearest 10. So I want to round off, see 54 is between 50 and 60, isn't it? So I put it on the number line here just to up by tens, but you might not have to put on everything in your exam, but I've just done it for the sake of showing you that it's going up by tens. And 54 is going to be right there, isn't it? It's between 50 and 60. Now, if 54 is quite closer to the middle, but as you can see, it's a little bit closer to 50, isn't it? The halfway mark between 50 and 60 is roughly 55, isn't it? But 54 is less than that. So therefore, it's closer to 50. So we can say to the nearest 10, it's 50. Now B, round off 54 to the nearest 100. 100, then we're going up by hundreds. So like this, 0, 100, 200, 300, etc. But 54 is between 0 and 100, isn't it? And where is it closer to? Is it closer to 0 or is it closer to 100? Now the halfway mark is 50, but 54 is greater than that. So we can say it's closer to 100. And you can see this on the number line, it's a little bit more closer to the right-hand side. Okay? Question 2, round off 617 to the nearest 10. So again, I'm going to go up by tens this time. So 600, 610, 620, 30, etc. And I know that 617 is right in the between 610 and 620. And 617 is a bit closer to the right-hand side, so therefore 620 it is to the nearest 10. Now to the nearest 100, this time going up by hundreds. So I'm going to start from, say, 400 up to 800. I've just gone up by 100, so those intervals are just hundreds. And 617 is definitely between 600 and 700. And you can see that 617, 17 is much closer to the 0 mark, isn't it? So therefore 600. Okay, and it easily shows you on the number line. 3, round off 3.47 to the nearest whole number. Okay, by whole number, we want it to either to the whole number, so 3, 4, 5, stuff like that. So I've rounded into the nearest whole number, put it into the nearest whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 3.47 is closer, it's right in between 3 and 4, right? Now 47. The halfway mark is 50, but 47 is less than 50, so and you can kind of see on the number line as well a little bit, it's closer to the 3. So 3 is to the nearest whole number. Now, round off 3.47 to the nearest 10th. Now, nearest 10th, I mean we're going up by like one decimal place. The 10th decimal is the one decimal after the decimal. So it's 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. So we can think of it as 3.30, 3.40, 3.50. That's why we call it to the nearest 10th, okay? 10th. So make sure you know what the word 10th means. Now 3.47 is going to be in between 3.4 and 3.5, and you can see it's closer to 3.5, so that's what it is to the nearest 10th. Question 5, round off 26 to the nearest 5. So it's going up by 5, so 0, 5, 10, 15. But this one, because the number is 26, I'm going to put the multiples of 5 that's approximately close to 26. So 15, 20, 25, 30. And I know that 26 is in between 25 and 30, isn't it? And as you can see, it's much closer to 25, so therefore it's 25 to the nearest 5. Now B, round off 26 to the nearest 50. So 50, we're going up by 50. So 50, 100, 150, etc. So 0, 50, 100, 150, these are the units that we're going to be looking at, so those intervals. Now 26 is right between 0 and 50. Now between 0 and 50, the midway point is 25, but 26 is a bit more than that, so therefore it must be closer to 50. Okay, so then that's how the number line always helps. Okay, let's do another one. Question 5. Round off to the decimal places that's given to us. So decimal places, if we're looking for one decimal place, you're always looking at one number after the decimal point. Two decimal places, you look at two numbers after the decimal point, and three decimal places, three numbers after the decimal point. So you don't have to look at anything before the decimal. So in 4.28, to one decimal place is just 2. But see the next number 8? It's greater than 5. So if it's greater or equal to 5, you always round the previous number up by 1. So it's going to be 4.3. Okay? Now to the two decimal places, it's just as it is really, because there's only two decimal places in the original question. Now three decimal places, the number is only 4.28. So to round it to three decimal places, you're going to just add an extra 0 at the end. Okay? So that's how you round it to three decimal places. Now B. Okay, to one decimal place. Now look, the one decimal place is going to be 0, but the next number is less than 5, so you don't have to worry about rounding up. So it's simply going to be just 9.0. Two decimal places, it's 1, 2, and the next number is not greater or equal to 5, so you can just leave it as 9.01. Now three decimal places is 0, 1, and 2, and again, the next number 4 is not greater or equal to 5, so you just leave it as 9.012. C. One decimal place is just 0.0, isn't it? That's all you need to write, 0.0. I know it's quite silly to look like that, but that's still the answer to this question if it asks you to do it to one decimal place. Now two decimal place, it's 1, 2, and the next number is less than 5, so we just leave it as 0.00. And three decimal places, you go 1, 2, 3. The next number 6 is greater than 5, so you have to round 3 up to 4, so 0.004. D, one decimal place is just 0.4. Two decimal places, 1, 2. 7 is greater than 5, so this 2 now becomes a 3. And part 3, when we have to do it to three decimal places, 1, 2, 3. 1 is less than 5, so it's just 0.427. So easy, isn't it, guys? See if you can try E on your own if you can. If you've got the gist of this, trying to understand, and try this on your own, just to give yourself some challenge. Now, one decimal place is just 1, so it's just 1.8. Two decimal places, 1, 2, so 1.82. And three decimal places, 1, 2, 3. And you can see that the next number is greater than 5, so this 3 now becomes a 4, so 1.824. Pretty simple, right? So you guys should be able to do 4 decimal places, 5 decimal places, as many decimal places the question asks.